Yeah, so I think is that everyone? Amazing. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Charlotte Colombo. I'm the Training Opportunities Officer here at the SPA. You're here for our starting your own publication panel, and yeah, just as a heads up, like this is going to be a recorded event, so if you kind of not really comfortable with that, I'd probably say keep your camera off. But also, if you do want to keep your camera on, that's probably going to be a lot more comfortable and fun for the hosts rather than seeing a lot of blank faces. So whatever you prefer. Just quickly, if you guys have any questions throughout the event, feel free to pop them in the chat, unless that's disabled. It says disabled for me, or that's just chat isn't disabled. But either way, hopefully you should put some questions in the chat, or if not, just kind of put your hand up and I'll unmute you if you have a question. So we'll start off with an overview, and then later on there'll be time for questions. So yeah, Jennifer, do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi. Sure. So my name is Jennifer Hakim. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Spill, spillmag.com. I'm also the director of their PR, which is a PR agency. I'm from France, and here we are. Happy to be here.
See, thank you so much, Jennifer. It was really great to have you here, and the Spill is a wonderful publication, so definitely check it out. And Georgia?
So I'm Georgia, and I'm the founder of Happy People Music and director of my own PR company as well. Can actually see Jack Oxford in here, and he's on my team, so yeah, it's quite nice to see a nice familiar face. But yeah, so been doing that since 2017.
Amazing, and that's really good to hear. Just want to go ahead, Chris?
Hi, I'm Christopher. I'm the founder of Mercury Magazine. I've been working for different publications and newsrooms across the UK for about 10 years now. So recently it's set up a channel all that experience and pride to create Mercury.
Amazing, thank you so much. So as you can see, these people have all sorts of different ranges of experiences. Georgia also runs her own PR company alongside her magazine. Jennifer as well is like a PR mastermind, and again, the Spill is like a really wonderful place that does paid commissions, and Mercury recently had their first print edition out. So yeah, definitely really exciting stuff going on. And I think a lot of these started fairly recently in the last few years, so it'll be really great to hear about how they've developed so quickly. So first of all, Jennifer, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Spill and how it all started?
So we're very new. So we launched on the 1st of January. So my co-founder is attending, and I know she'll remember we spent New Year's Eve working and kind of celebrating at midnight, because that was exactly when we launched. But then there was nothing really, so that was perfect timing. And we had the idea around, I guess, around October last year, when it really became, certain that we're going to start this. And the reason that we launched it, so this is an online publication that we publish content around, real life stories, politics, environment, anything really, like life, culture, arts. But what's really, the key for us is to only work with writers from marginalized communities. So this is a large scope, obviously. But this was really the core of why we wanted to do this, because like I said earlier, I'm also a PR, and I was just a PR before that. And I noticed last year, the decrease in interest in, for example, racial justice stories, or social justice stories, and obviously stories around Black Lives Matter. And I could see it on my end, when I was pitching that, and I could also see, because I spent my life living on Twitter here, and all the journalists that I was following, I could see that their stories around things weren't picked up so much anymore. And that really got me thinking, because, stating the obvious, that a lot of the at least for the UK, the UK media support of, say, Black Lives Matter was just really performative. So that was just, you know, what we call Black Square Summer. It was just for the summer, and then like it just went back to like business as usual. So that was really the, because this was also happening at the time where obviously with COVID, as you all know, so many journalists were losing their jobs at the same time, and it was just, you know, chaos. And I was just, yeah, we were brainstorming, thinking, you know, can we actually do something about this? We're not journalists ourselves, but we were on the other side, like the communication side and the PR side, and there were so many stories that I could see wouldn't find a home, and people very vocal on Twitter, for example, like sharing, you know, their achievements or their fails as journalists, like when a story isn't picked up, for example. So it was very clear like what was going on at that time. So yeah, so we brainstormed, we thought, you know what, we have time. Like we were both working full time, but you know, again, like that was the midst of COVID, just like staying home. So we thought, you know what, it will be a lot of work, and we didn't really have money for it, but we, you know, found ways, and we did like a donations campaign and everything, and we gave ourselves 3 months, and then we on the 1st of January. So yeah, so that's the starting point. There's like many reasons why we started this, really.
Amazing, thank you so much. And yeah, like yeah, I remember actually seeing your campaign and then sort of following it, and it's really great to see how it's sort of developed. And yeah, it's a really sort of wonderful publication, and definitely sort of like covers such important issues. Like definitely can relate to the thing about certain niche stories and sort of personal stories, especially not necessarily finding a home. That's the problem I've had as a freelancer. So it's definitely a platform that's needed. And yeah, it's amazing. And Georgia, can you tell me a little bit more about Happy People?
Yeah, so I actually started it when I started uni in December of 2017. So I completed my degree in music journalism last year. So it was literally just something where I was like, you know, I kind of need to keep on practicing, keep going with this. And it was literally born through that. It's like, it's nothing more, nothing less, really. And, you know, it's a platform where I encourage people to just write in their own time. I've got, how many people? I think including me and Jordan, who's the assistant editor, there's 59 of us now. One of them being Jack, who's here. So yeah, it's kind of gone from me not having a clue what I'm doing, and with no degree behind me or kind of nothing really there, to then hitting 6 million views 3 years later. So yeah, it's basically just a platform where it's a non-profit one. Nothing's ever pressurized, and we just kind of champion new music, and that is literally all it is. It's become, not to kind of make myself really big-headed, but it's become a bit of a beacon for new music. You know, there's so much new talent out there that we have to kind of like shine the light on. So that's the only reason why I did this. And then last year I created my PR company, so I made sure I did all my research to form a business, and then yeah, it's just kind of it keeps growing and growing and growing. But yeah, we've got a nice little family team. Like we all chat in our Slack group. But yeah, it started out with me and a lad he's still on the team, just hasn't done much as of recently because of uni, and that we literally started that through nothing, and now we're kind of here where I do it every single day of my life, and I'm pretty much full-time at it now. So yeah, it's just a little platform for musicians, artists, aspiring writers, and it's just a little community and family. So yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, because yeah, it's crazy you've done all that throughout your degree as well, because like I know for a fact that a journalism degree is really like a very intense degree to do. So
yeah,
it must have been insane to do that all through uni. And yeah, as you said, like you getting like astronomical views, like millions of views on your website and stuff, and it's just really fantastic to see like a grassroots organization sort of championing new music. And yeah, like it's great to see that you're such a like sort of close-knit team as well, and working with so many sort of up and coming artists, especially during like you know, the music industry being a bit precarious with COVID and everything.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's I mean, I was able to nourish it more throughout the pandemic, and it seems like, of course, the pandemic was absolutely horrific, but at the same time, it kind of gave me that balance where I was just sitting at home doing nothing because I was on furlough, just finished my degree in May last year. So I was able to just kind of sit and work on it essentially. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think like a lot of wonderful organizations have come throughout the pandemic, and I think Mercury might be one of them. So Chris, do you want to sort of chat through that with me?
Yeah, like Jennifer and Georgia both said, it was during the pandemic that I really got the time to be able to do everything I wanted. I'm sure both would agree. I've been wanting to do it for like years now, but this was the first time I was able to actually get my hands on wanting to do it, and it's kind of just snowballed so quickly within the first year. We didn't really set out to have, you know, a very niche website or a hyper local website, and I think that's kind of why it's been so successful. In the last while, we don't really report news. We talk about events, we talk about situations, so we talk about what's going on, which is a bit more relatable, I think, if you're having these conversations from our writers, because it sounds like we're speaking to you. And we started the launch of the print magazine in December. But in all honesty, I didn't picture it to start until this December, so we're way ahead of projections. And yeah, we have like loads of different segments, loads of different features, and to have it so quickly in our lifespan as well is just, I honestly wanted it to happen, but I'm genuinely surprised it's happened so quickly. But regards to the team, we've just taken on 10 staff writers as well, and I kind of run everything by myself on my laptop, and that's it. There's no other editors, it's just me. So to see everyone, you know, playing to it and show so much support and love, it's just really nice to get that appreciation as well. And yeah, hopefully it gets bigger and better within the next year.
Yeah, so fantastic. Yeah, like fact you're recruiting staff writers as well. That's really cool. And I think like you have columnists as well, don't you? Like what sort of columns do you do?
For the actual print magazine, we have 3 columnists, and it's just general lifestyle things. You know, whenever you're reading like a column in Cosmo or Elle, it's just something general lifestyle that you want. We get a lot of heavy columns, and it's just like, it's not what you want to read. We're very lighthearted, we're very fun in Mercury. So I said to them, talk about your dating life, talk about something that happened to you today, talk about something that, you know, you want to open it up and you think, oh, I relate to that. That's so weird. And then it's just kind of snowballed from there. So we have columnists, we have style writers, we have fashion writers, we have entertainment writers. Just a few days ago, one of our writers did an interview with one of their favorite artists. Then I kind of pushed it all together, and that is Mercury.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And I think Mercury, as you said, it covers quite a broad scope, doesn't it? Like obviously music's a big part of it, but you also have like opinion, politics and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we have kind of everything. The only thing we don't really do is just report hard news. But then if we do report hard news, we're talking about it, having that conversation about, well, what does this mean? Why are people interested in this? And what are people saying about this, instead of just, these are the facts.
Yeah, definitely. Because like it's really important, I think, as well for students to have something that offers like a wider scope. Oh, sorry, just 1 second, just some sort of technical problem on my end. It'll be 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, sorry, all sorted now. Okay, so I'm just going to double check for any questions on Twitter, but I actually have a few myself, if that's all right. So yeah, so one question I have firstly is like, obviously you guys all do this. Oh yeah, actually, Ella's got a question. We'll start off with that. So with an increasing number of new publications opening up over the years, how do you go about finding a niche area that isn't already covered? And how important is it for your publication to be unique? So again, if we could start with Jennifer and then going on to Georgia and Chris for your answers. All right.
Yeah, of course. So how did we go about this? Well, of course, we researched who would be our competitors, although we don't really see it as competition because there really is a need for more and more publications. But of course, there are incredible publications like Goldem, Aurelia, you know, name a few. And I think we all do very different things, and there are a lot of new publications popping up. And again, like with the pandemic, I think a lot of people had more time to like invest, you know, in that type of work, and it's a good thing. So I think like our niche, using that kind of term, is more that we work with marginalized communities. So it's not necessarily just LGBTQIA plus writers, or just disabled writers, or just Black writers. It's, you know, it's just like everyone who is kind of like put aside by society, or like in some way has been discriminated against and has more, you know, issues finding work, or it's just like life is a bit more difficult for them. And, you know, for us, it's really about the UK media landscape that is, you know, so white and so cis and so still like very privileged and rich. And that was, in a sense, like our niche, to just like break away from that and just like offer not just an independent media, but also a safe space for that community or those communities within. So this is our niche. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, I said quickly following on from that, why do you think it's important for marginalized communities to have a safe space within journalism?
I think like the first answer that comes to mind is that there is so much hatred that is just like blatantly like thrown at people from marginalized communities. And again, with the situation last year and still this year, so many people have lost their jobs. And, you know, it's a known fact that people from marginalized communities are like the first people to lose their jobs. So yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing this. And
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's a really, really important thing, like, because I feel like obviously the past year especially we've seen a lot of hatred and difficulties recently, like with the current sort of Kill the Bill protests, recent elections, the recent trial with Derek Chauvin, all sorts of difficult issues. And yeah,
and people have a lot to say. And our point is not really like, it's not really us two co-founders that are sharing our perspectives. It's more giving a platform that you know, understands people, and like I said, like a safe space, not just in terms of community, but also a place where stories aren't going to like fit an agenda, or like being like heavily edited, in a sense where, you know, we want to like put words in people's mouths. This is really about, you know, people sharing, you know, authentically, like sharing how they've been feeling, their experience, like real life stories. And even if, you know, they're writing about the environment, or if they're talking about politics, this is really about giving freedom for writers, and also not boxing them up, because that's something that a lot of the writers, because we talk a lot via email, a lot of writers have told me that, for example, if you're a Black writer, or if you're a Black Muslim writer and a woman, that's all you're going to be commissioned to write about. And it or like talking about Black trauma, for example, or talking about Islamophobia, like that's all, you know, they're asked to write about. And of course they will, like if you're looking for work and, you know, you're kind of like desperate to make a bit of money, of course you're going to, but at the same time it's starting to get like really depressing, and reliving trauma. So this is what we don't want to do. So of course, like we let people, you know, pitch us whatever they want to write about, and it's up to people to write those stories, but we're not here to just box people up. And if you're an LGBTQ writer, you can write about anything else than, you know, what happens in your community. So
yeah, that's definitely a really, really important point, especially you made about writers being pigeonholed based on kind of like their backgrounds. I feel like that's something I've spoken to a lot of my friends about. They've experienced it. And again, like I think Kaya from Aurelia said a similar thing, was like, with Aurelia, she said like about commissioning stories, not just about trauma, but about like joy as well. And like, yeah, my friend Halima, who does A Shame, she said a similar thing, like she wanted to do a platform where sort of women of color are able to talk about, you know, things like sort of joyful things, movies, not
fun things. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because like it is like definitely a massive issue in the industry relating to wider problems with diversity. And it's really amazing that you're kind of working to do something about that. And yeah, Georgia, would you be able to answer Ella's initial question, which, to remind you, is with an increasing number of new publications opening up, how do you go about finding a niche? And sorry, sorry, the chat went down there. How do you go about finding a niche? And sorry, my computers. And that isn't already covered. And how important is it for your publication to be unique? Sorry about that.
It's all right. You know, like a bit like Jennifer, when starting, you kind of know who your competition is, or you kind of see who's a little bit similar to you. So what I kind of have done initially, you see quite a lot of music publications not really putting any thought into their reviews, or it's just kind of, it's quite monotone. It's just 2 lines, a quote, and then done. So I think we're quite unique in the fact that we do all just kind of throw our opinions out there, and we write original reviews, and it's nice and structured in that way. But you know, there is so many new music websites coming out, and I do kind of see it, and I'm like, oh, there's so many. But you know, we have to just kind of be original, and it's also, you've got to be inclusive as well, and make sure you're always covering any kind of artist, so whether it's non-binary or person of color. You know, you don't kind of see many grassroots publications doing that in music. So I think we've kind of done something really great with that. But you know, every single writer on the team has a different style, so it's kind of nice with that as well. That does make us unique, the fact that everyone just kind of writes freely. I don't come down on them like a ton of bricks. But yeah, there's nothing that much to it, because there is so much, and the music industry is quite same old. But I think that's how I have kind of created Happy People to be that way. And I have had a few comments recently where people have said, you know, these are really authentic reviews going out. It's personal, and yeah, so I think that's how we do it. But some others would say different.
Yeah, it's definitely good. But like in the sort of, as you said, it's really interesting about the way people have their own kind of styles. I think that definitely adds to the authenticity of the reviews, because like obviously music is something that elicits a lot of strong emotions, and like in the same way as like personal essays, opinions, or anything, it's about eliciting emotion through your work, I suppose. So when you say like different styles, what do you mean like by that? So like, if that makes sense, it's probably a silly question, but just something I'm curious about.
No, it's not at all. So there's some writers who will write quite formally. There'll be some who will put a bit more expression. Some of them, some writers make it a little bit more personal to them. And honestly, I like that it's, I mean, I know we've got house style, so you know, we have to have certain words in bold and italics. But I've never set a ground for any writer to be like, you've got to write this way, or you've got to write that way. And I started out having to write a certain way, and I didn't really like that, and I don't think the industry should be that way. So someone will write like, this is amazing, and that they'll write about how good it is, and someone else will write, you know, a little bit more formally, and that's okay. If someone wants to write that way, I'm not going to strip that away from them. So that's kind of what I mean when I'm saying everyone is different, everyone's unique, and that's what makes the publication unique at the same time.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, like definitely important to sort of stay unique, and as you said, it sort of goes back to sort of finding your niche, and it's really interesting. Like, it's really the people that makes publication, if you think about it. So your like wonderful group of writers definitely makes Happy People what it is. And Chris, can you tell me a little bit more about Mercury's niche? And I could read over the question again, but if you'd like me to, let me know.
No, don't worry. I feel like Mercury's kind of on the flip side of both Jennifer and George's publications, because we don't really have a niche. We kind of cover, you know, whatever we think is relevant and topical at the time. Like, we've covered everything from Corbyn's leadership to the End Stars movement to the Britney Spears documentary as well. So I've worked in a lot of niche publications, well, niche, mainly LGBTQ publications, and that's kind of what I know. So whenever I was starting Mercury, a lot of people were like, okay, so are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? And I kind of said, well, I kind of want to do whatever I want to, if that makes sense. And I feel like a lot of people, well, when first starting their publications, kind of pigeonhole themselves. Okay, well, I need to do music, but only indie music and only underground indie music. And they kind of just, I think it's important. You don't need to like find a solid tiny little niche, but you just need to be able to do your niche well, because you can find your niche, but there's going to be 100 other people that are doing your niche as well, and it's important to not see them as competition, because once you do that, then you kind of like lose focus of what your publication set out to do. So I think it's important to just have a solid idea of what you want. You don't have to have this tiny little niche, but you just need to have a solid focus and a solid endpoint and know what your publication does. Even you don't need to reinvent the wheel, you just need to do it well, really.
Oh yeah, amazing. It's interesting you say about how niches in some ways can be limiting, even, because I think if you pigeonhole yourself too much, then your reach is in that way limited as well. And yeah, like definitely, like I feel like, especially for like young ambitious writers, which is who you're sort of targeted towards, like it's great to have the opportunity to cover as much as possible. So yeah, on to our next question by our lovely events officer Katie. She wanted to know about how you guys went about kind of self-funding your platforms, and like I know some of you guys are voluntary, but there's definitely probably a lot of cost involved, I imagine. So like, and so at what point did you decide they're growing enough to put money into them? And yeah, if from Jennifer you could start and then just sort of move along that way. Thank you.
Of course. So we started with donation campaign. So we created a link on DonorBox that we put on the landing page. So when we're building anticipation to the launch, we set that up, and we shared that to everyone that we knew, like our friends, family. When we got our socials ready, we put that up as well. And I think it cost us around £2,000 roughly, like for the launch. So it's not that much when you think about it. And I think the donations covered maybe like a good third of it. So that was something, because we didn't really have much to start with. Like we just had a landing page and kind of like a blurb, like we're telling people what we're gonna do. But I think, talking about again about niches, I think like that's when we felt that people were actually really anticipating that, because there was clearly like a need for it, and people were like willing, people who didn't know us personally were willing to like pitch in a few pounds. So that was really great. And then we keep doing it, like we keep injecting our own money into the company, but it's just a few hundreds really a month, just so that we can cover commissions, because all of the money that we got from donations, that went straight to paying the writers. Everything else that we're doing, we try to do it ourselves, so that it doesn't cost us anything, or when it does, it's our money that we put in. So I think like just in general, like business philosophy, I'd say, is that if you don't put in your own money, then even if it's like a couple hundreds, then ask yourself why you're not doing it. Like, do you think that it's not worth investing in? So of course, like we would be the first ones to put money into. And as we're gonna grow, I mean, I hope that's like in the future that we'll do some sort of crowdfunding campaign, and we just want to build up a little so that we have more to show for, more content. And
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Georgia, same question?
So we're entirely self-funded, but the person who funds the site is me. So I knew that it needed funding when we started, like as soon as we started, really, because wanted to build a brand, wanted to build something. So it all started from the domain, really, buying that out for a year, getting a host, that kind of thing. And I mean, over the past 3 years, I think I've put about 3,000 into it already of my own money. So like Jennifer said, you if you don't think it's worth it, then don't put the money into it, but it is worth it. So but you got to keep it ticking if you're getting views, and you kind of want to keep it rolling. And also I think we're also getting to the point now where we need like a donation link, just so we can start handing out money, because there's so many submissions every single day into my emails that half of them don't even go on to Jack will know what I'm on about, but our coverage sheet, like half of them can't go on there. We've got 59 writers, including myself and Jordan, but we still can't get through more altogether. So it might help, having a little bit more of a motivation for everyone to kind of write if they're getting something out of it as well. But I've invested a lot of money and time into it, and it also comes with technical problems where you have to pay a lot of money to get it back up and running, or you have to pay for a new host, and it just kind of this comes with a price, essentially. But like Jennifer said, it's very much worth it, and you start investing from the very first point, which is your domain name. If you want like a personalized one, getting a host, buying a little slot online for yourself, and that's when because you clearly want to do it, and you clearly want to put time and effort into it if you're building something. But yeah, it comes with a lot of time and money, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can imagine. And how about you, Chris?
Mercury is fully funded by myself as well. We don't have any like third-party investors or anything like that. Everything since the domain name and host has all just came out of my own pocket. But for the magazine, I was just like, okay, well, we'll need software, we'll need X, Y, and Z. So we started a GoFundMe, and without that, it wouldn't have happened. So I think it's really important to realize that it's not a cheap thing to start your own publication. As someone who was working a minimum wage bar job before this, I was just like, I can't afford this at all, which is, I'm sure, a lot of other people's situations. They want to start their own magazine, they want to start their publication, but they just simply can't afford it. So my advice would be, ask for help. I swallowed my pride to do it, but I'm so happy that I did, and I'm sure other people will agree. But people will help you, and people will support you if they think you're going to go somewhere, or they'll just help you out, just be good people anyways. But it's not a cheap process, and you'll put a lot of money into it, and you'll probably say like, okay, well, where's this money going? I think it's important to realize that you're not going to earn that money back straight away either, but to start your own publication, it does cost a certain amount of money, and you do have to pay it, and that is just kind of the fact of the matter.
Sorry, I was muted. But yeah, for sure, it definitely sounds like a marathon rather than a sprint. And another question came through from social media, just a pretty sort of straightforward one for all of you. How do you find writers?
So initially, for the launch, we just think that was like through my own like personal Twitter. I just like called out. I just like put a couple lines saying that I was launching a publication in January and just like asking to do like freelancers looking for work and just like explaining obviously like the vision of it. And I got like thousands of emails. So I had to like put up another tweet at some point saying like, I'm not ignoring you guys, but it's just like, look, and I put a screen grab of it. So that was overwhelming, but like in a good way. So this, like we already knew where we were taking it, but then like from that, like we got like emails from people that I was like admiring like on the other side, or like people that I was working with on the PR side. And then since then, we've commissioned when we started, like we commissioned because we wanted to kind of have like an editorial schedule for like a few months because we're still launching, like there was like so much stuff to still be doing, and we're not on a news site, so it's not like we always keep like some sort of margin for like topics that we absolutely want to cover from like one week to the next, but this is pretty rare. So this is how we're going to go for like the first quarter, I'd say. Things are going to be different afterwards. Like I want to commission more in real time. Like we're going to switch things up. When we have something urgent that we want to cover, I'll either tweet it out, and you'd be amazed, and I'm sure you guys know, at how quick you can find someone, unless we already know who we want to commission, or like have like a few writers in mind that we think would be a good fit. So we haven't had to even use like tools, like PR requests kind of tools. It's just like honestly just Twitter or like a simple email, like someone that we think would be interested. So we haven't had to use any of those, but maybe we will in the future. But yeah, like it's amazing, like the stuff that you can do for free, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And how have you been able to sort of find writers, Georgia?
Twitter. Twitter is my best friend when it comes to these kind of things. And every say maybe 2 or 3 months I will put out another call out. And it's not even because I want to get rid of my own writers, because I love them all, but you can never have enough in that sense. So I always put a call out, and I always make sure that they are writing for free for now anyway. So I always kind of put in brackets like contributors only. But yeah, it's the power of social media in terms of building up the website has been incredible anyway. And a bit like Jennifer as well, when I put that out, my emails are just absolute chaos, because we are beginning to become more established as the weeks go by. So I know a lot of people kind of want to write for these kind of publications as well. So, and also no one needs experience. I think, I started from nothing. Like I started with no qualifications, anything behind me. So yeah, that's what people like. So they can just kind of go in and be free. But yeah, definitely social media is a good platform for this kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Would you agree with that, Chris?
Yeah, if Mercury's ever looking for writers, we've only ever put out like a general pitch once on Twitter, and all you need to do is say, we're looking for contributors, and you will be flooded with emails. If this questions come from someone who's a bit concerned about who's going to be helping me write my content, if, like Georgia said, if you put it out once on social media, your inbox will be flooded for weeks. Even after it's closed and you say we're not taking any more, people will still be like, can I write for you? And which is amazing, obviously, but so many people are wanting to build their portfolios, either starting off or just simply want to contribute to you. So I don't think it's something you need to be worried about at all. You will be in no short supply of writers.
Yeah, definitely. That's really, really good. Yeah. It's great to see there's such an appetite for like organizations like Mercury. It's really great to see so many young people being able to have the opportunity to write, or indeed sort of like early career journalists. And we've just had a question come through on the chat, and they were just asking about obviously you guys were talking about how a lot of you sort of self-fund your publications, and this person wanted to know how you make it financially sustainable and whether you guys have a business model in mind for the future and the development of your publications. So yeah, let's go from Jennifer.
So I'll be very honest, like we're not doing this for the money. That wasn't really like, of course we know it's a business and it has to be like at least get us return on investment. That really wasn't like the idea behind it. What we're gonna go for at some point, but like in a very far future, I think, when we're a lot more established, is probably like some sort of membership with premium content. I think that would be like the main thing that we want to do. And then sponsored content, which we've started talking about. Of course, it needs to be like 100% aligned with what we're doing. So from let's say like organizations that are working with marginalized communities, or just people that are aligned. I guess when it's really allowed, we'll do events and workshops and things like that. Yeah, we have like a whole list of ideas that we want to do, but it's again like it's not really the reason why we're doing this. So we're not like really running after our return on investment now. Like it's viable for us. Like we're just like I said, it doesn't cost us that much. It costs us just like a couple pieces that we're publishing per week. So for now we're good, but I think that's down the line, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so Georgia?
It's a tough question because, the website has never really been sustainable in terms of money. I work full time for myself through my PR company, and that is literally how I afford to keep it running. So, I have to pay for the email accounts, the hosting, the domain, everything else comes with it. But also, like Jennifer said, it's never really about the money when it comes to what I've always wanted to do anyway. It's always just been through passion project. But going forward, I think maybe in probably the next half a year, we will start to make these kind of donation links, or even a Patreon as well. I've seen quite a few publications using Patreon, so they get like the premium content, in which we will then be able to probably do some paid pitches a couple of times a month. But it's never really been about kind of scoring kicks in terms of money with that, because it's completely self-funded. Like I fund for everything. I don't ask for money off anyone. But yeah, it's definitely worth in the near future in getting like a Patreon, or even if it's the I don't know what it's called. It's like buy me a coffee link, so you can do like £3 or £6 donation or whatever kind of comes to mind. So I definitely think it's important to start branching out in terms of being able to kind of pay people for their work and time. But right now it's not sustainable, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I guess it's like, sometimes it's about passion and just sort of waiting things to kick off. And what about you, Chris?
Whenever the magazine came out, it was I've worked for magazines for like the last 7 years, so I knew what the crack was in that sense. So I was just like, okay, well, there's a clear option to monetize this, and we obviously sell the magazine. Then we have ad partners and sponsors and advertisements online and in the magazine. And I think it's just, if you can curate your content to another business and just kind of align your beliefs and align your content with them, then it will be very easy to kind of monetize and kind of fund your business as well, so that you're not paying it out of your own pocket. Like I'm saying, I'm still paying this, but we're slowly progressing so that I don't have to. And this is what I want to do, and this is something that I would love to do long term. But to be able to do it long term, you need to be financially stable and have like a solid foundation to build on. So I think if you know what you're doing and know how to align your content with a business that will be able to advertise with you. It's not as difficult as some people may think.
Amazing. So like another quite interesting question I got was what is one thing you guys kind of overlooked and something that didn't occur to you when you first started that turned out to be a lot more important than you expected?
So I feel a bit ashamed saying this because I run another business, but we looked into the trademark way too late. And we got an email from another company that had, so we had a different name before we launched. A kind email, but an email from another company that had the same name saying, actually, we saw your socials and we saw you were launching on the 1st of January, but just so you know, we've already trademarked this name, and they sent us like all the certificates and everything. So that was fun because that was like 2 weeks before the launch. So we had to change everything. We trademarked our new name, which, you know, we love and like actually works a million times better. But that was like the first major thing, and that was before the launch. And now the new thing, like the biggest challenge that we've had recently, that it's not really an oversight, but it's more like things have evolved on our end when it comes to like design. And so we're making our website completely accessible for readers with reading disabilities, blindness, visual impairments. So there is, again, like we were talking about money, like that is bound to cost some money, like when we're recording audios, for example. So we're doing a mix for now. That's a cost that we hadn't anticipated because, again, we thought about it a bit later on before the launch. So, you know, it's like work in progress, but this is, yeah, money that we need to find if we want to do it consistently. So we have gear at home that, you know, we can use, like really good equipment. So we're making those, but we also want to have like a mix of voices, not just us. So this is like one of the financial challenges. But like I was saying, like when it comes to design, there are some things that we didn't know would happen when it comes to our websites. So not to get too technical, but we had an issue with the number of pages we had on our website that we were allowed to have. So what you call static pages. And we're building all of our articles on static pages, which was a lot of work because we were like very specific about the design and like how we want elements and everything. So each page is treated differently. And then this happened, and we realized because we always post 2 per article because we have an easy read as well. So this was, you know, like a looming issue that we didn't know would happen. So we had to like rethink all of our design for future articles when, you know, we had to like work out a fixed template for articles, kind of like a blog in a way. But we were used like for months, like we had already built everything else. And the platform is up and running. So we had to keep with the existing design. And at the same time, every article is bound to look slightly different because sometimes you'll have pictures and sometimes not. So sometimes you'll have an audio and sometimes not, because again, like it's a work in progress. So this has been like the latest massive hurdle. And I didn't anticipate that I would have to have a lot of coding knowledge. So this is something that on the side, I'm, you know, educating myself with. This and media law, actually, I would say this hasn't happened yet, but we're not like majorly controversial, but we're also like very unapologetic, and we talk about things that are, you know, important. And even if we're going to criticize a brand that we think is woke-washing or greenwashing, or if we are going to just like call it like it is, you know, like talking about who said this, or like who's been like very like slightly racist or like slightly performative and things like that. Like we obviously need to be wary of potential lawsuits. So that's something that we're looking into. But yeah, like the design and the trademark are like the 2 things that I wish someone had told me about it before, like just actually think long term when it comes to.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And the same for you, Georgia.
I was trying to think of some challenges, and the only ones I could come up with is that we've had so many technical problems with my website. Like I can't count on my fingers how many times like my site has gone down. And we now have a tech guy to sort that out because I simply can't deal with it. But there's been a couple of times where reviews have been copied and pasted from our website onto someone else's, and this isn't a case of one of my writers kind of putting it on their own portfolio, because that's absolutely fine. It's their writing, they're credited at the bottom. But this was on another music publication website, and we had to kind of give them a bit of a warning. And I'm not that kind of person. I don't really like dealing with that stuff, but that was another issue. But it's mainly just been technical problems, and it was where the website was held on another site. I literally have no idea, but it's held onto another site, and there was another host trying to get it as well. We were basically in the process of changing our hosts, but it just wasn't going right. So that took about a week. So we had no post going out, we had nothing, and I was just kind of sat there like, I'm a little bit lost because that website's my child. So but yeah, it's mainly just been like really nitty technical problems. We've never had any problems with trademarks or copyrights, well, just the one. But yeah, literally just technical problems. So I would get a technical person if you can on board, just to help you out, because otherwise it's a big stress.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think a lot of people here can relate to that. Like when I was Wessex Scene editor, that it was literally like Wessex Scene was my firstborn. Like it's definitely like you get very attached to your projects, don't you? And Chris, what do you think? Like, what's the big challenge you underestimated?
I think whenever you're starting off your first publication, and for anyone watching this as well, it's kind of not really a technical hurdle, but it's more of an emotional one when you realize that the amount of work you put into it will not equate the amount of payoff that comes from it, especially in the early days. We all want to be living our best, like Miranda Priestley lifestyle, but the fact of the matter is, a month, 2 months, 3 months, you're putting out so much content and you're so happy about it, but then you kind of realize that not much is coming back, and you just need to kind of center yourself and think, okay, well, how do I get past this? Because you put so much time and energy off yourself into your publication, so you want people to see it, and then sometimes you don't get the hundreds of thousands of clicks that you want. And I think that is a big hurdle that people need to overcome. You need to be able to be tough skinned with the amount of likes you get, the amount of comments you get, and the amount of clicks you get as well, which is really difficult, especially in the early days.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're going to wrap things up now, but very quickly, how can people get in touch with you?
So we are the Spill Mag on all socials. So on Twitter and Instagram, the_Spill_Mag, the Spill Mag Facebook, and you'll find us on LinkedIn as well. You can reach out to team@thespillmag.com if you have a question, if you want to pitch us. Yeah, this is where we are.
Amazing, thank you. Georgia?
So you can find us on all socials at Happy People Music. So that's Twitter, Insta, Facebook, whatever you use. You can also send me an email at georgia.blackman@happypeoplemusic.co.uk. And I'm also Geo Blackman on Twitter. And my DMs are open. So if anyone ever wants any advice or wants to just be like, Geo, I want to come on your team, I'll be like, okay. Or you can contact Jordan, who's the assistant editor. He's also very lovely. He's in the next room. Jordan.white@happypeoplemusic.co.uk. I forgot my own emails.
All right, Chris?
Everything's on our website, mercury-magazine.com. All our emails are there for different sections of the magazine. My emails are there. We have all our socials there as well. Do not DM Mercury We have all our emails. If you want to DM me personally, that's completely fine. My Twitter @is Chris Megrath. If anyone needs some advice, just even the chat, I'm game for it, just send me a DM. Do not DM Mercury. If you want to get into contact with Mercury, send Mercury an email, because we have about 20 of them and we do not respond to emails. 2 DMs.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Like, I do hope people take you up on that, because it sounds like some wonderful opportunities you guys have. Thank you all for giving up your time, and thank you for people for coming and asking questions. And if you guys want to come along to our next session, it's happening in 2 minutes actually. Very easy to get to. There'll be a Zoom link, and it's on freelance journalism with Mahika Barua, Caroline Harrap, and Charlie Peters. And I think Bree has just put the link in the chat. And yeah, thank you so much, Jennifer, Chris, and Georgia for coming. And good luck with your publications.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.